Hey guys, I am Ibigandscary. I'm bringing you another StarCraft 2 replay, this time featuring in our bottom left-hand side, LullabyP, our blue Protoss. He is in currently Diamond League, but I checked his previous league standings. He's normally in Masters, so I expect this to be a Masters level game from LullabyP. And then we've got EGDpsenfett in our bottom right-hand side. He is our red Protoss. Also has been to Masters in the past. He's only played 25 games this season. So I don't know if he just took a break and he's coming back to it, or what the deal is with that. It's a relatively new season. You can totally get away with just 25 games. Regardless, it looks like they know each other, or at least have seen each other on the ladder, so they're both probably climbing back up to that Masters level. And we're on New Kirk Precinct, which is cool because it's the new one. You've got the new revamped fourth locations, and then kind of the walls that have been proliferated around the area, significantly smaller. The chokes are a little bit wider. It's cool. It's cool. It's also cool that LullabyP's sending out a probe. Usually, whenever they're talking a bunch, one of them is cheesing, just because the other one has a bunch of free APM that they can waste on distracting their opponent. But it looks like they're going super standard right now. You got the gateways coming up, actually identical gateway timings from both players. Expect to see the gas being thrown down relatively soon if they proceed down the more typical pathway. And I think LullabyP's just doing a scout right now. He's not banking a bunch of minerals to throw down a bunch of gateways or a pylon or anything like that. Two probes passing the night. Oh, so romantic. We have the assimilators going down too. So yeah, super standard out of both players. Nothing untoward, nothing unexpected. And it looks like both players are going to be aware of that as their probes make their way into the opponent's base. Weird pylon placement on down to the left side could be something to think about later on. Maybe LullabyP's going to hide some tech down there, but regardless, it's no big deal. No big deal. Really boring in PvP whenever both players are being super standard for the first like 3 minutes, because really everybody throws down a gate. Oh, nicely done, getting the probe kill for Dozenvet. But what I was saying is that everybody has to throw down a gateway. Everyone has to throw down a Cybernetics core. Everyone has to throw down at least one gas, probably two if we're being honest. And, and then what? And then you get to choose one way or another. Hey, you got another probe kill too. So that's evens that up. That's fascinating. That's absolutely interesting. This is why I do not like PvP in the early game, is because if you don't have somebody to talk to, it's so not boring, but stale and bland. But double gas, Cybernetics cores down, chrono boosting out that gateway from Dozenvet. So he's working on that first zealot. Not really on crazy signs of aggression. No one's getting a super early mothership core. No one's getting a super early 5 gateways or anything like that. But both players are teching up very nicely. I wish I could just ×8 this, because I know that this is interesting later on. But as we are now, as we're just kind of sitting here, it really comes down to what's the next building thrown down after the Cybernetics core. They are taking up just a little bit of money. LullabyP more than Dozenvet, which is why I'm really interested in this little probe over here. It's a weird position of that pylon. He's got a lot of space to throw down tech buildings, and we have the zealot as well as a single probe coming across, and I think he was waiting for that stalker to come out so they could kill a probe that's being suicided in before he throws down whatever he wants to throw down over here. Just 2 more gateways being added on. Still doesn't have that important building. Is it going to be a Stargate? Is it going to be another gateway? Is it going to be a Robo? Hey, could be a Nexus. He's moving that probe down onto the low ground. He's got his mothership core out. He's got a Stalker and a Zealot, so he could definitely hold off any aggression that's coming out from Dozenvet in the form of just a single Zealot, single Stalker. And he's also throwing down some probes. We've got 2 more gateways on the way, and that's about it. Remember, the warp gate was being chrono boosted out, so I guess that with those 3 gateways, Dozenvet could definitely afford to be aggressive, but with what LullabyP already has in terms of infrastructure, he's got that sentry up there. Dozenvet's really going to have to invest a lot in order to be very aggressive, and LullabyP can also throw down a Nexus on the low ground. He's got all that extra money, but right now he's being held back by Dozenvet. Sneaky little probe moving off to the north side, I guess for scouting more than anything else, but with the proxy pylon there, he's not going to be able to slide by that Zealot, I guess, to throw down his own proxy pylon over here to do some counter aggression. Mothership core does pop in, sees absolutely nothing, just that the 3 gateways exist, and it looks like we're at a stalemate, because with these 3 sentries, he's going to have no problem at all force fielding that ramp, keeping back everything. He really just wants to force field it in such a way to make it so that one Zealot is popped over to the other side and can be focused down, and then one Stalker is focused down. double robo, one from each player being thrown down. A very, very nice play, but still very standard. Still kind of slow playing it. I really like how Dozenfett is keeping this contain up. It's very well done. It's very successfully done. However, he's not electing to get his own Nexus. He's got his probe down there. Just doesn't quite have enough money. It looks like he's banking that money right now. And unfortunately for him, that delay is really meaning that his advantage that he's gleaning by denying this Nexus really isn't much. The second this is broken, Lullaby is going to be able to throw down his own Nexus. And if you switch over to the economic tab, well, Dozenfett does have an advantage in Harvester count, but only just. And once that Nexus goes down, we can see that is probably going to equalize. But yeah, now here Dozenfett is seizing the day. He is throwing down his Nexus on the low ground. He's actually taking that economic advantage, and with that, he stopped warping in a buttload of units back at home. So he's got another proxy pylon over here. It's not going to get scouted by the mothership, but the mothership does see the probe, so he might be able to actually see what's going on. Pylon up on the north side of Dozenfett's base. It's got a lot of zealots there too, and remember, he's got a lot of sentries here. Also, if he wanted to be clever, he could probably capture about half of this units and keep them in a contain, especially if he wasn't expecting the zealots to be coming from the other direction. Oh, wow. Phoenix coming in, being hallucinated, just to see exactly what is up. It probably will see that Twilight Council eventually. I don't think it's seen it yet. No, it has not. And that Twilight Council is not working on Blink or anything like that. It's not even for upgrades. I'm not 100% sure why he got that. It could be for Blink eventually. But, yeah, I have no idea. He doesn't have a Forge. He doesn't need the upgrades. Here comes the sentries. Oh, my goodness, throwing down those force fields. 2 more force fields right here to prevent the push forward, I guess. But, man, these zealots are absolutely wrecking havoc on these stalkers. It looks like all of the sentries are going to go down, but my goodness. Holy crap. Okay, the force fields were for Dozenfett to keep Lullaby's units at bay. And despite all that, the 6 zealots that were warped in has proven way too much for Dozenfett, and he has to just kind of retreat at being caught in the pincer. Really, really great play from Lullaby, throwing down that Nexus, trying to catch up economically speaking. The Nexus is finished for Dozenfett, but he hasn't gotten saturated just yet. But remember, he does have that Harvester count, which has only gotten larger as the time has gone by. And we see a Void Ray on the production tab right now. Remember, he's also got his robotics facility up, so it looks like it's the Twilight Council versus the Stargate. So will we be seeing Blink Stalkers coming out to kind of counteract that Void Ray or something else? I'm not 100% sure. Lullaby is not teching in the pathway that he probably should. It looks like he's just going to be super aggressive, and he might get the Nexus, but Dozenfett does have a very large force up top, very zealot heavy. It doesn't have anything by way of range, but these Void Rays will be popping out. One already out, the other one on the way, not being chrono boosted or anything like that. Going to be relying upon the Void Ray to take care of any anti-air, and the form of anti-air from Lullaby is really just in sentries, so that's Void Ray as well as the Nexus Cannon is really going to be doing quite a lot of damage. Oh my goodness, this is a total stalemate. I don't think Lullaby has enough anti-air to actually break this, especially with the second Void Ray coming out. It looks like it's being chrono boosted right now. Nope. Yeah, so I think Dozenfett is pretty safe right now on his Nexus, and remember, he's got that economic advantage, so he's not going to have an issue holding back Lullaby one way or another. So I think Lullaby is going to have to retreat. He's got his own Nexus finished right now, but he is still behind on that Harvester gun. Actually, it's really stabilizing. He's only within 3 Harvesters. A couple seconds ago, he was behind by like 9 or something like that. Added in more Stalkers, but will it be enough to actually break this? The second Void Ray is out right now, and he's also got that Immortal, which is really going to be shelling down quite a lot of damage. But we have 2 Immortals for Lullaby, so really going to be raking in the kills against those Zealots. There goes the second Photon Overcharge on that Nexus. A handful of the Zealots fall down. I don't think Lullaby lost a single one in that skirmish, but another Void Ray on the way, and once this attack actually takes place, those Void Rays are going to be just doing so much damage. Only 5 Stalkers added into this mix, and 5 Stalkers is a lot of DPS, but Lullaby's going to need more than that to actually take them out. It looks like the Mothership Core being kind of frisky. Man, it's been really, really frisky. Throw down a Time Warp right here just to slow down that gas income. Looks like Lullaby poking at the front door once again. Man, where is the Blink? The Blink is not being used. He invested so much in getting that Twilight Council. He's not doing anything from it. Did he want to get like a Dark Shrine? I don't know. I have absolutely no idea. And he's got the money for it too. Like, just throw down a Dark Shrine. Throw in a Dark Shrine. You know, have a couple of DTs, maybe some cost-effective Archons. Hey, Awesome. So that's what the great, good. He's also got 2 Stargates on the way too. I guess now that he's seen the Void Rays, realizes that his own anti-air is a little bit lacking, but he's definitely closed that gap. Almost 8. Is that 8? Is 7? 7 Stalkers right now. This Mothership Core has to be very careful. Oh my goodness, absolutely melts. Another big push. We don't see a bunch of force fields being thrown down from Dozenfett, but Lullaby, great force fields in the rear. However, it looks like the Void Race have really focused on the anti-air from Lullaby, and we only have a handful of Stalkers left, and all of them just melt away from those 4 Void Rays. Only one of them taking any damage within 2 hit points, but that is enough to break the back of Lullaby, and all of a sudden, man, he's just done. It looks like the harassment once again coming in from Dozenfett, a handful of Zealots, but Lullaby also has his own Zealots back at home. The DT Shrine is going to be finishing just a handful of seconds before Dozenfett's army arrives at the base, but he does have an observer, so I don't think these DTs are going to be too handy, and there's no proxy pylon near Dozenfett's main base to actually make it so that those DTs can kind of skip past the main army of Dozenfett and actually do some damage to the economy back at home. 7 Stalkers will be attempting to hold the line, but against this many Zealots, against this many Immortals, really what can he do? He's got 2 Void Rays out on the field right now. That's going to be doing a lot of damage, especially considering that one of those Void Rays from Dozenfett is very, very weak, but still the advantage is in Dozenfett's favor. Here comes the fire. It looks like those Stalkers are having a hard time getting underneath the Void Rays because of all those Zealots, and with that, the numerically superior Void Race from Dozenfett actually just crushes Lullaby's forces. He's got another 2 Void Rays on the production tab. We've got Templar Archive coming out from Dozenfett, but I don't think that's going to matter because with that pylon being unpowered, it looks like these 2 Stargates are making Lullaby dead in the water. Oh, that's too bad. And there goes the DT, the single DT. What was he leaving detection for? Okay, the observer's right up here. So yeah, I think that's it. I think Lullaby's gonna have to tap out. I think the real cincher was this right here. He got the Twilight Council, he invested money in it, and then just sat on it. He had money. He could throw down a DT Shrine. He could have gotten Blink, which would have been fantastic because he's up against these Void Rays and he's having a hard time getting underneath those Void Rays and actually doing damage with the Stalkers. I'm not a big fan of aggressive blinking, like an offensive blink, but in this case it probably could have been nice for him because he was being really held back on this ramp here from the good force fields coming out from Dozenfett. So I think that with that blink he could probably have made something happen. Maybe he still would have lost, maybe he would have won. He would have had more of a fighting chance. And then he also sat on so much money for so long before actually electing to get the Dark Shrine. So yeah, he just invested into the Twilight Council and just let it sit. Whereas Dozenfett invested in the Stargate, and we can see how incredibly effective that was with these Void Rays crushing everything back at home. So yeah, great game, very well done. I think that was Masters level. It's hard to tell, but yeah, I'd say that was Masters level, especially with the force fields and the shenanigans early on with Dozenfett kind of locking down that natural, and then Lullaby doing his super clever kind of backwards proxy pylon in his own natural. That's cool. That was really, really cool. You guys are cool. Thank you for watching my replay. If you guys have a game you want me to cast, you could PM me here or on Reddit. One way or another, I will see you guys later. I am Big and Scary.